Hello, my name is Eleanor Soo-ah Hyun. I'm the curator for the Korean collections at the British Museum, and today I'll be talking about a 10-panel screen of auspicious images of longevity. This screen was made by a master embroiderer named Lee Hak, and she donated this screen to the museum in celebration of the opening of the Korea Foundation Gallery in 2000. What's really striking about this screen is that if you look up very close, you'll see all the different threads that have been sewn through. And the beautiful color palette that is created through the sewing is really about all of these threads that are next to each other. So a spectrum of blues, so dark and light blues that create the images of the gradations in the rock patterns, or the lovely water waves with the purple strings and the white strings. So it is really all about the close stitching and the layers of different threads that are creating the incredible color tones throughout the whole screen. The landscape is made up of very colorful mountains, pine trees, peach blossoms, cranes, turtles. So it's a landscape that is just full and abundant, and all of these elements make up what we often now call the 10 symbols of longevity. Actually, the screen has more than 10. It has 12 symbols, and this type of iconography became very popular in Korea in the late 18th century into the present day. The 12 symbols that are in this particular screen can be grouped in sort of three categories. The first group would be the sun, clouds, mountains, water and the waterfall, and rocks. Sometimes the rock formations look like almost as if they're caves. And caves are interesting because they often come in different kinds of stories and legends and myths where you could walk through a cave and then when you came to the other side, you would have unknowingly entered into a paradise. So they're sort of portals to other lands. And those types of natural elements are important because they represent all parts of nature that is important to our lives. The second group are the animals, so the crane, the deer, and the turtle. And those are more specifically linked to Taoism and immortality. The deers are linked to Taoism and immortality because in a lot of those stories, the Taoist immortals ride the deers off into their immortal lands. And the crane as well was something that could be ridden by Taoist immortals and goddesses and gods to go into their fantastical worlds. The crane also is linked to longevity because it's white, and so it would be linked to sort of white-hairedness, so elderly grandfathers and grandmothers, and so linking that also visually was as a sign for the crane. The turtles in particular, their shell was what was supposedly inspiration for the Taoist trigrams, so the symbols that would have been related to the I Ching. And as we know, lots of turtles live for a very, very long time. The third group is the pine, bamboo, peaches, and mushrooms. The pine and the bamboo are auspicious symbols, not only in terms of their longevity, but also for literati works. So pines were evergreen year-round and could also be quite old, so it's always linked with sort of steadfastness and longevity. Bamboo also often would stay green for the most part. Sometimes they would yellow out, but mostly green, and could stay and live for quite long times in certain kinds of groves. The other thing about bamboo is that they're flexible, but they're sturdy. So there was also a sense of integrity because they could bend in the wind and the rain and the bad weather, but at calm times it would just spring back up. Peaches and mushrooms are, again, linked more significantly with Taoist ideas. So certain kinds of paradises were thought to be sort of peach blossom groves, or you would have immortals who had special peaches that if you ate would give you immortality. So you would have these peaches, these beautiful, lush, round peaches that everyone would covet to try to eat. And mushrooms in particular, the Chinese phrase for them would be lingzhi. They have a sort of interesting shape to them that then gets picked up by other motifs and called a rui in Chinese, and that specifically means as you wish. So it was also sort of a wish fulfillment image as well. And those magic mushrooms could be eaten and give you immortality as well. So a lot of these symbols could be used on their own and separately, and you often do find them sort of in small vignettes, whether on decorative arts like ceramics and lacquer. But because so many of them really relate to each other, and it makes sense to put some of the animals, particularly into a natural landscape, for Korea, they were able to sort of create and bring all these elements together to create this type of landscape scene, which is very particular to Korea. Thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed this video, there are many more incredible videos on the BM channel, so please subscribe now.